All right, let's get into it. If you've ever just wanted to pull your hair out over CSS conflicts or tangled component logic, then you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to demystify one of the most powerful, and maybe a little misunderstood, tools in modern web development, the Shadow DOM.
And this quote right here from web.dev just nails it. That word brittleness, we all know that feeling, right? It's when you change one tiny little line of CSS and then boom, something breaks on a completely different page. Well, Shadow DOM, it offers a way out. It's a path to building components that are robust, reusable, and most importantly, don't step on each other's toes.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the problem, the total chaos of global CSS. Then we'll introduce the solution, this idea of a DOM within a DOM. We'll break down the difference between light DOM and shadow DOM, see how they magically work together, and then get into the real superpower, truly scoped styling. Let's dive in.
Okay, so first, we have to understand the enemy. For pretty much as long as the web has been around, the global nature of CSS and the document object model has been, well, a real source of pain. It's like a single shared space where every single style rule is shouting at once.
Does this look familiar? Yeah, I thought so. We've all been there. You create a simple class called card, only to find out some other library is already using that exact same name. Or styles from one component bleed over and just completely wreck another one. Before you know it, you're in this crazy specificity war, slapping important flags on everything just to make it work. This is the chaos that Shadow DOM was literally built to solve.
So what is this magical solution? Well, the coolest part is it's not a framework. It's not a library you have to install. It's a native feature built right into the browser. The best way to think about it is like giving your component its own private, walled-off garden inside the DOM. It's a hidden world where it can manage its own stuff without any outside interference.
And here's the official definition. You have a host element, that's your component, and you attach something called a shadow tree to it. The key word here is encapsulated. This tree is totally invisible to something like document.querySelector from the main page. And you guessed it, its styles are completely 100% contained. And get this. This is all it takes to create that private little world. It's just a single line of JavaScript. You call attach shadow on your element, and that's it. You've created a shadow root, and now you're ready to build inside of it, totally safe from all that global chaos.
Now, to really wrap our heads around this, we need to understand the two worlds that make up a modern web component. There's the light DOM, and then there's the shadow DOM.
It's actually pretty simple when you break it down. The light DOM is the stuff that the user of your component writes, like the heading and paragraph they might put inside your custom profile card tag. The shadow DOM, on the other hand, is the internal machinery, the structure and styles that you, the component author, create to make the whole thing work.
Okay, so we've got two separate DOM trees, one from the user, one from us, the author. So how in the world do they combine to make a single thing that shows up on the page? Well, this is where the real magic happens. It's a process called composition.
And that leads to the million-dollar question, right? If the shadow DOM is this private, encapsulated space, how do we get the user stuff, their content, their light DOM, to actually show up in the right spot inside of it?
The answer is just so elegant. It's this one little HTML element, the slot. As the component author, you just place slot elements inside your shadow DOM like placeholders. You're basically putting up a little sign that says, hey browser, any content the user provides, render it right here.
Now, the really key word here is distributes. The user's content isn't actually moved into the shadow DOM. It stays right where it is in the light DOM. The browser just kind of projects it into the slot for rendering. It's like a movie projector. The final image you see on the screen, that combined view, is what we call the flattened tree.
So if composition is the magic trick, then scoped styling is the absolute superpower. This is the feature that directly crushes that global CSS battlefield problem we talked about at the beginning.
And this is where the rules of the game just completely change. Styles from the outside page, they can't get in. Styles you write inside your component, they can't leak out. It means you can write something like H2 color blue inside your component, and it will only affect H2 elements inside your component shadow DOM. No more naming conflicts, no more specificity wars. It's amazing.
But you're probably wondering, okay, but how does the component style itself? Great question. That's where the .host pseudoclass comes in. It lets you write styles inside the shadow DOM that actually target the host element, the component itself. So you can set a display property or change a border based on some attribute.
And what about styling the user's content, the stuff that gets projected into a slot? Well, we've got a tool for that too. The slotted pseudo element. This lets you, the component author, provide some default styling for that external content, giving you a bit more control over the final look and feel.
Now, this doesn't mean you have to create a total black box. A good component always needs a clear API for customization. And the official, recommended way to let users style the internals of your component is by using CSS custom properties, CSS variables, as styling hooks. This creates a really clean, well-defined boundary for theming and customization.
So as we start to wrap up, let's just zoom out and bring it all back together. When you use Shadow DOM, you're really buying into this philosophy of encapsulation, and it all rests on three fundamental pillars. First, you've got the isolated DOM, which makes sure your component's guts don't mess with the main page. Second, you have scoped CSS, which guarantees your styles are your own. And third, you have composition, which, through the slot element, gives you this beautiful declarative way to mix user content right into your component's template. And what do you get when all three of these pillars work together? You get what we've always wanted as developers: truly self-contained components. They're resilient because they can't be accidentally broken by some random style from the outside. And they're incredibly reusable because you can just drop them anywhere in any project without a single fear of conflict.
So in the end, Shadow DOM isn't just some technical feature. It's really a whole new way of thinking. It frees you from all that defensive, fragile coding and just lets you focus on being creative. So, I'll leave you with this question. What will you build when CSS is no longer a global battleground? Thanks so much for joining me.